Good evening. Welcome to the Grand Prairie City Council meeting for Monday, November 14th, 2016. I'd ask everyone in attendance to rise and join us in singing O Canada. Thank you to the National Film Board for the images of our country and to our very own Grand Prairie Boys Choir for the audio. We'll move on to the adoption of the previous council meeting minutes. Can I have a motion to adopt that set of minutes? Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I would move that City Council approve the minutes of the City Council meeting held Monday, October 31st, 2016 as presented.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any errors or omissions that we needed to catch in that set of minutes? Seeing nobody ringing in, then I'll call for the vote to adopt them. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. And then we'll move to the adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion with the adoption of the agenda? Of note, we have two additional items or two changes to the agenda, which administration handed out a page that highlighted that. Can I have a motion for the adoption of the agenda? Somebody care to ring in for me? Councillor Thiessen.
All right, thank you very much, Mayor Given. Despite the hesitations of my colleagues, I would move that Council adopt the agenda as amended, including item 9.1 and 10.1, 8.1, 8.1 and 9.1.
8.2. We have an amendment to the amendment.
Amendment to the amendment, yeah.
So we're going to add two additional items under Section 8 reports. The first will be item 8.1 Land Use Bylaw Amendment C1260-64. And then the second is 8.2 appointments to council appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. And also deleting item 6.1. Okay. Clear as mud? Clear as mud, okay. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries, and that'll take us into the our delegation portion of our agenda. This is an opportunity for anybody in the community to come forward and address council on any community-related matter. We had at least one delegation that let us know ahead of time, Mr. Dan Gorman from Evergreen Park. And I see that your computer's set up already, Mr. Gorman. And come on down, and if you'd like to introduce yourself and your colleagues at the council table, we'll just recognize Councillor Clayton.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would like to declare a conflict of interest simply because my husband's on this board. So I'll just leave the room.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Clayton. Councillor Clayton will declare a conflict of interest and is going to leave the council chambers. So we know who at least one person is out there in that. But if you'd care to, please introduce yourself, team, and welcome to council.
Good evening, Mayor Given and Council. My name is Rob Clayton. I'm the president of the board of the Ag Society, the Grand Prairie Regional Ag Society. And I have Dan Gorman here, who's our general manager, and Bridget Henniger, who is our finance committee chair.
Welcome.
So this evening, we're here to present as the Grand Prairie Regional Ag Society. And in saying that, we do represent the entire region. Majority of our users and employees reside in the city of Grand Prairie, and so there's a wide range of people that use our facilities from both the entire region as well as the city of Grand Prairie. Dan Gorman is going to give a presentation and some slides on some of the activities and events that go on at the park. Dan?
Thank you, Rob, and thank you very much for welcoming us tonight. I've been asked to keep this brief, so this is going to be the speed version of our presentation. I know you've had a long day already. So 2016 at Evergreen Park. Evergreen Park, 1,000-acre multi-purpose facility that's committed to being the most successful regional agriculture, exhibition, and recreation destination in northern Alberta. And we put a slide in there just showing some of the 17 buildings that we have on site that look after and house many of our different user groups. We have a large number of user groups on site that Bridget will talk about a little bit later. Evergreen has its roots and base in Grand Prairie, beginning in the early 1900s, and continuing to this day. So much that happens at Evergreen Park involves Grand Prairie and the surrounding area. Of course, the Agri Show, the Peace Country Agri Show that we house every year at about 7 of the different buildings that are out there. And we have sleigh rides and stuff that are involving through that at our convention center. The number of different 4-H clubs, not just from Grand Prairie, but throughout the surrounding area, all have many, many events and activities that are housed at Evergreen Park. As well as, of course, the Grand Prairie Stampede, and the bust out happens right in the city, and the number of the events that precede the actual Stampede itself are housed in Grand Prairie. And then the Stampede, of course, is out at Evergreen, draws many, many thousands of people every year. That's the city donated bike for one of the events at the Stampede. And Amber Marshall was one of our guest speakers this last year, drew a whole bunch of youth and a wonderful following to that. And the horses at Evergreen Park, we run the horses every year, have for the last, 80, 90 years, I guess, out at Evergreen, and draws very, very large crowds. And of course, all of the people that come to the races stay at Grand Prairie. We have no hotels or anything out there, so they're actively supporting the Grand Prairie area. We've also hosted the Alberta Derby at Evergreen Park the last couple of years, the second largest horse race in Alberta. And solely funded all of the purses by local business people in the Grand Prairie area. And it's on again July the 30th of 2017. And our Paint the Park Purple at Mr. Mike sponsored this year, raising a bunch of money for cancer. And that event will be hosted again next year at Evergreen. And some of the annual events that we have, the Amber Ball has been held out there for a number of years. Career Expo as well, our home and fall home and leisure show, and gun and sportsman show that was just held here a couple of weeks ago, and the Festival of Trees that's on this weekend. Be over 650 people that will be at our gala this weekend, and then the actual Festival of Trees follows that. And the Northern Lights Spirit Show, again, had over 30,000 attendees last year, which was, it just keeps growing and growing out there. It's a very special event. Truro Town, indoor kids playground, we started that just a couple of years ago. And last year we served over 12,000 attendees, including over 250 kids parties and multiple bouncy castles and interactive games and toddler play area. And the majority of the people that we served came from the city. We also offered a dual rink, a no-charge dual rink for the evenings and weekends out there for all the residents of the city and county. Includes heated change rooms and washrooms. We had about 5,000 people that visited last year. We've hosted outdoor movies, drive-in theaters as well. Last year, the Special Olympics had their snowshoeing and closing banquets there. Last 2 years, we've hosted the Alberta High School Rodeo Provincial Championships. Canadian Cancer Society now does a Relay for Life out there. And the President's Ball, we've hosted that the last couple of years as well as the Christmas Craft Show, which is coming up. Last year was the first time that we did our community support supper. And basically, we served 710 less advantaged people from mostly from Grand Prairie. We had 12 buses throughout Grand Prairie at different spots, picking up people, bringing them out to the park, having them go through the light show, serving them supper, and then driving them home. Some of you may not have heard about it too much because we didn't advertise. It wasn't in the radio, it wasn't in the paper, and that's kind of the way that we wanted it. We wanted it to be just for them. Everything was donated. Absolutely everything was donated, and including the buses and the bus drivers and everything else. So it was pretty wonderful. We're expecting over 1,200 this year. And we got our multi-group Christmas parties. That's sold out as well. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. This past year, we did our long-term plan for Evergreen Park for the next 20 years and worked with different groups like the Wapiti Corridor and all of our on-site user groups as well to coordinate that. New in 2016, we had our first ever trail trek. Over 300 competitors raced in the 5, 10, and 20K trail trek out at Evergreen Park, and that's being hosted again. We had the Nitro Circus. Some of you, I know, were at that. There was over 7,200 people that attended that, which is one of the largest events that's been held here. And we had a couple of new projects, new capital projects in 2016. I know everyone's aware that we've been designated as an evac center for the region and requested to feed, house, and support up to 3,500 people and their pets and animals in the case of an emergency, and that requires constant power. So we just put a few other slides of a few other regions that haven't been designated as evac centers that have the ag societies on site as well. So we applied for and received grants. The county MD and the government was able to help us, and we've got the backup generators as of 2 months ago in place, both for the NTREC Center and for the other major building on site. So and they're tested monthly. So if regional emergency does happen and Evergreen Park makes sense for people to use, we'll be ready for that. Clarkson Hall, we also received a Canadian Western Economic Diversification matching grant to renovate that place because that was in dire needs of that, and that's just been finished over the last couple of weeks. And again, we just mentioned that we've been working with GPREP to construct an evac emergency plan for Evergreen Park, and it's about 2/3 done. We hope to have that done by I'd say probably the end of the first quarter of 2017. Our infrastructure is old, as is many other facilities or many other areas, and our building and equipment is very old and requires repair and upgrades. And we do appreciate all of the continued financial support that we're getting, and we'd like to ask you to consider looking at us as a possible funding sponsor for Evergreen. And I mean, one of the things that we did talk about is just the many user groups, whether it's Game Country Archers or minor ball. We have horse boarders out there that I shouldn't say over, it's almost exactly 50% of our horse boarders are right from Grand Prairie, and the other 50% are from the region. But people that don't have an acreage or a farm or whatever and still want to ride horses, they can board at our facility and live in Grand Prairie, and they do that. We're also in the process, about 2/3 of having a comprehensive economic impact study done, tying ourselves with the other 7 regionals or the other 6 regional ag societies. And it was supposed to have been done by now, but in order to get in for budget requests, we're making this application a couple of months before that study is done. But it does show that over 80% of the direct economic benefit of the events and activities at Evergreen Park go right back to the city. So we are asking the city to consider operational financial support in the amount of $200,000 a year for the next 5 years, and we did want to offer something else as well with that, and that's the the possibility of, with some of that support of marketing profile, including whether it's signage, marketing on our mini TVs, a free booth each year at the Agri Show, with other signage and exposure, info on our new website, links to your website, and maybe exposure to summer horse racing, barbecue tent area, to petroleum show every 2 years, etc. So that was my part of the presentation, and I know we wanted to turn it over to Bridget just to respond a little bit to a couple of the other financial issues.
Good evening. So I've been part of Evergreen Park for a long, long time, and I can tell you it's always been a financial struggle to make ends meet. And I want to say we're very happy to have Dan on board, and certainly has helped us accomplish a lot of things out there. However, still we are facing aging infrastructure, as Dan mentioned, rising costs, and simply the downturn in the economy has had a big impact on us. And so we are a regional facility. We have identified 37 other organizations that are very active at the park. We feel that we have a large space which allows us to provide experiences to people to celebrate the fact that we're Northern Albertan. We're very proud of that. And we just simply ask for your support so that we can continue to have a positive impact. Thank you.
Thank you. If that was that's everything for the presentation, then Dan and
Yep.
Rob, team. I guess there's opportunity for any questions from council. Councillor Logan.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. Very valuable regional center for all of us. What's your experience so far with applying to other municipalities, whether they're rural or urban or really close or a little farther away? Have you got any other support from other municipalities? Direct financial support in the sort of same package that you're looking for from us?
We certainly have some support from the MD of Greenview and, of course, from the county as well. But we have looked and discussed the possibility of directly talking to some of the other municipalities as well. But after the MD and the county, you're our first.
We also do receive funds from the provincial government, and we continually lobby them for additional funds. The 7 regional ag societies are funded through the Department of Agriculture, and we have a good relationship with them. We want, as they have a lot of priorities, we are continually showing them what we can do for agriculture as well.
Thanks, Councillor Logan. Councillor Tarrant.
Mayor Kevin. Thanks for the great presentation. Just to wonder if you'd like to elaborate a little bit more on the financial struggles that you find yourself in, and what type of budget shortfall are you looking at, and this requested amount, how would this go about addressing that shortfall?
Sure. We have our total budget is, if you look at the financial statements, about $10 million. We do have a lot of needs. We're looking for something long-term. As Dan mentioned, we have a long-term plan in place, and we do know that with aging infrastructure, we do need to have additional funds. So we're not only looking for money from municipalities, we are looking for a lot of different operating funds through different events. We're looking at numerous things to drive the revenue portion of our income statements.
Councillor Tarrant, anything else? No. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Thank you very much, Dan, Bridget, and Rob, for coming in for this presentation. Just a short and simple question in regards to funding. You said that you've approached you have support from the MD in the county. Are those numbers comparable? What do they fund out Evergreen Park per year?
I'll let you answer that.
Sure. The county provides operating funds, as well as they help us with loan repayments, as you see from the balance sheet, that they have lent us money to build in the past. And so each year there are those funds coming available.
Okay, and the MD of Greenview?
And the MD of Greenview has given us funds. We've approached them. Would it be fair to say?
So MD of Greenview has given us about $20,000 a year in the past, and we've approached them this year and are requesting more.
Okay, thank you very much.
And they've shown an interest in that, but that's just waiting for their budget deliberations as well.
Very good. Awesome. Thank you.
Councillor Radburn.
Mayor Given, good evening. I'm interested in the relationship with the County of Grande Prairie. Is there county representation on your board, or you're a completely separate entity? So that's one part. Second part, how much operationally do they provide each year? Maybe Bridget can help there.
And the county does have 2 members on our board. We are an entirely separate board. We are charitable organization, Grande Prairie Regional Agricultural Society. So we're also an agricultural society under the Agricultural Society Act. But we are totally independent. In the past, because it's in the 2 containers, I would say approximately around $1 million, probably, last year. It may have been it would have probably been okay. And then, of course, there was the generator project. So it would be in excess of that then.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Radburn. So just to clarify that, Bridget, you mentioned that the county has loaned you money, and so you have repayments to the county. So can you help us understand a little bit better what the county has for an annual operating subsidy or grant versus capital? And so are they covering some of the? Are they waiving loans that they've given to you previously? Like it's not.
Yes,
we don't have the benefit of seeing
yes.
the balance sheet or this financial statements.
I'm sorry. Right now, we owe the County of Grande Prairie approximately $3.5 million. There are repayment terms on those, as well as interest, which is indicated on our balance sheet. And the county does look at that each year, whether they can help us with the payments.
Okay. So there are some years where the county does not ask you to make the payments. Is that,
In the past number of years, the county has helped us with the payments. Yes.
Okay.
In addition, they provide operating funds.
To what amount?
And that each year they give us $400,000 for operating funds. I think approximately I want to say, where the 400 sort of, it's not the same, but, our utilities at the Evergreen Park would probably be close to that amount for that large area.
Any other questions, Councillor Rice?
So do any of the other municipalities, the county or the MD of Greenview, do any of them do gift in kind, like working out, snowing plow or plowing, let me try that again, snow plowing or any of that type of thing in addition to cash?
If I can answer that, the county does. The MD, it just doesn't work out, but wherever they can, the county does help us. So with some of the snow plowing and stuff like that, it's a gift in kind. That's very accurate, actually. So it's just not a weekly or a daily thing, but if they've all of a sudden got units over there that are available, then they help us out.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions? I don't see anybody else in the queue. I just had one, a couple of questions with respect to the long-term planning exercise that you undertook. Certainly there would be a number of city people, city residents that are on your board. Absolutely recognize that. But was there any city involvement or any consultation with Revolution Place or city staff with respect to operational matters or planning of events?
I don't believe so, Your Worship. We had John Simpson was our main coordinator of this. What we did do with the process was those 37 user groups that Bridget mentioned, a good majority of them that are city-based, were all included as part of this process, as was Wapiti Corridor and all of the the area. So, it'd be a better question for John Simpson, because we know he did interview many, many people, but I don't believe that he actually talked to Revolution Place or your council.
So maybe on that line then, and this is maybe a little bit more fuller questions, considering this is, I get the intent that this is a budget request, and so it's likely something that would refer to budget. We might not have the same opportunity to ask questions then. So, but just with respect to Revolution Place, Dan, what's the nature of your working relationship in terms of handling the number of different events that could be located in one facility or the other? Certainly, we're not going to be moving the Stompede anytime soon.
No.
But there are a number of other events that you highlighted that certainly could be located in Revolution Place.
Well, and I'm glad that you've asked that question for this reason, and it's something I've actually shared with our board. Had a good working relationship with Jane Caddis-Sharp in the past. Coached her daughter and played ball with her husband for many years. And so we were, I was one of the first calls. She was one of the first calls that I received when I took my position. One of the mandates that we gave all of our management, and it's a current mandate that's in place now, is that my decision was, and the board supported it, that we did not approach one event that is held in the city to get them to move to Evergreen Park, and we haven't, not in my complete tenure out there, not one. So our goal was, there is room for everybody. Don't get me wrong. If somebody approaches us, we're all over it. But not one single event have we approached or phoned or contacted in any way, shape, or form and said, would you come out to Evergreen Park? I don't know if that answers your question, but we're very proud of that. So any of the events that have come out, a good large number of them have been because they outgrew the areas that they were at, or they wanted a different experience. Sometimes just being out at Evergreen is a little bit different than being in the city, or they wanted a different experience. And, we do work very, very hard, as I know Revolution Place does, to hold the bar high as far as service. And I don't know if that helps, but it's just, I've heard twice now in the last, 3 or 4 months that people have, suggested that we might be approaching different places that have been there. We never have, not once. I'm very proud of that. So, and we plan on continuing that. So.
Good. Thanks. And have you had a chance to meet with our new GM at Revolution Place?
His picture from the article that was in the paper is still sitting on my desk to remind me to call him, but I have not.
Fair enough. No. I have a desk like that sometimes too. Yeah. Okay, I don't see any other questions from any other council members. No? Okay, so thanks very much for the presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, everyone, for the time.
For your consideration.
Thank you.
Okay, as we get reset, we can welcome Councillor Clayton back in. I just have a button. And this is the delegation portion. So if there's anybody else here tonight that wanted to address council, then they get an opportunity. We'll just let the gentleman sort of reset their station here and make sure they've got all their plugins and wires. And I think we might have had 2 people that were looking to come to council tonight. And so we'll just make sure that we take turns. And we'll go ladies first then. Thanks very much, sir. And so if you'd like to come on down, while admin's just getting that organized, we do have this opportunity. We certainly do take anybody who wishes to come. For those that aren't scheduled presentations, we'd ask you to keep it to about 5 minutes. And if you'd just like to introduce your name for a recording secretary and for anybody that's watching at home, welcome.
Sure. Sorry. My name is Samantha Smith-Bird. I live not far from here. And I wanted to come to council because I have some concerns about the newish photo radar traffic. And what brings me here is I consider myself to be a little bit of a hunter. In the last probably year or so, our family's received about 4 tickets, which I don't think is excessive, and we pay them all because sometimes I don't pay as much attention as maybe I should, and that's the cost of not being smarter than I am. But this last one I noticed was there was a trend in all of them that was that the number was identical with each ticket, and so I thought that was a little odd, and I thought I would do some digging. So I called the number on the ticket, and I spoke to a woman at Global Traffic Limited, I believe it was, and just was looking for some information regarding the calibration of the equipment, maybe some data in terms of how many tickets were given and what bracket or range they were administered to. And she told me they didn't keep that information and that I was required to pay it. And I said, okay, is there anybody else that maybe I could refer myself to? And so she referred me to the Crown locally, who I called, and I spoke to a man who I believe was named Tom Kerouac, and he gave me the same information, told me that I could go to trial, which of course I realize is an option. But I was hoping for some more information. And so he told me I could Google it, or I could find out how a trial works. And so I told him my husband was a lawyer, and he told me I could get my husband to explain to me how a trial works, which I found interesting.
So just to clarify, this is the Crown Prosecutor's Office?
Correct. So I was disappointed by what seemed to me to be a lack of accountability and perceived transparency, given that I don't know if I'm guilty or not, but I was looking for some information, some assurance that I could go off of to be able to move forward. And I am not a lawyer, although I live in close proximity to one, but I did do a little bit of homework and gave a look at the Alberta Evidence Act, and Section 41, from my understanding, says that they are required to prove authenticity and the reliability of the device, as well as being obligated to prove, support findings that at all times the system was operating properly with no reasonable grounds to doubt the integrity of the system. It is by all means possible that I consistently speed from time to time at 63 kilometers an hour, but I don't know that for a fact, and I believe that I've been given reason to doubt the integrity of the system, and I'm aware that, of course, I can go to trial, but I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and it was enough work to get here tonight without them. I would prefer not to have to go that route, and I would hope that given that Global Traffic Limited, I believe they're called, as I understand it, is contracted by the city, that there would be more information readily available to people like me, because for all I know, everybody speeds at 63 kilometers an hour and nobody's contested it. So that's it.
Okay, so was there any questions, I guess, or were you just wanted to inform council?
Sorry, thank you. Last, I have no questions at this point, but I would like to request of council that there might be an improvement in the process so that when someone like me has a question, they get an answer. And I do have to say that after calling lovely Arlene, whose last name I can't remember, I think his name was Chris Manuel, did call me and was very helpful and tells me that he will get me some of this information. But that was only after after some, fairly significant digging and calling around. And had I not, I believe, appeared here tonight, that information would still be unavailable to me were I not to go to court.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the delegation? I don't see anybody ringing in, so thanks for raising the issue for us. Certainly something that council could take back and discuss at one of our committees.
Okay.
Probably likely community safety. Councillor Rice.
My question is more likely to Mr. Galante. Is Mr. Manuel not preparing a list of public speaking events to review the whole process of the red light cameras?
Director Galante.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, that is correct. There will be a series of presentations to different schools and Chamber of Commerce and other entities in the city to explain the process. And we are also preparing a technical brochure to be available online on the city's website with information. It will be technical information, regulatory information as well about how the equipment is being calibrated, how often, and the provincial regulations and the RCMP regulations that we follow. So that information will be available for future users as yourself. So instead of calling Global or the Crown Prosecutor Office, if you will visit the website, the city's website, the information will be there in the next few days.
So just a question for you, Samantha. So I haven't had the pleasure of receiving one of the tickets yet. So
Well done.
in terms of contact, in terms of contact information on them, was there any City of Grand Prairie contact information, or is it simply the?
There was. I have it with me. I can show you if you like, but I can grab it. I believe that there was a number on it, and that was the number that I called, and it led me to Global Traffic Limited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
No problem.
I don't see any other questions, so thank you very much for raising the issue with us. It sounds like there's some additional work happening, and council can choose to follow that up at one of the committees.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Sir, you were very patient. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome you to the council table. You heard my spiel and introduction there, about 5 minutes, if you please, and if you'd just introduce yourself for our recording secretary. Welcome.
Can you hear me? Okay. Randy Galbraith. I live on 63rd Avenue and 99th Street in Grand Prairie here. You'll be happy to hear I'm not here to ask for any money tonight, so that's good. But myself and a few of my neighbors, we have been talking a little bit, and we're really concerned. I have a lot of experience in construction, and I'd like to know what happened on 68th Avenue from 100th Street towards the Dairy Queen. That's like rolling waves on an ocean. There isn't another road that I can see in Alberta built like that. Everything is telling me that something happened and there was some kind of a major redesign or something went wrong. So I'm going to just kind of try to make sense of this. So I live about 4 blocks south of this. And about 2 years ago, my house insurance was renewed and it doubled. So for the first time, I thought, well, it was after the Calgary flood thing and they're trying to get money off me and this and that. But upon further investigation, I've been told that I live in a flood zone now in Grand Prairie. So I phoned the city engineer about this whole road construction project, and 68th Avenue used to be a relatively high-grade road. The water hit the highway. It was absorbed into the ditches. Well, what didn't go into the ditches ran into Bear Creek, and so there was no water problem. So what they've done is they've designed this road now with all these, to take all this water off of the road and put it into what I would consider, in many cases, a substandard infrastructure system, and add more water into the storm sewer. And I have a pond right behind my house where I live. So am I going to be getting huge amounts more water coming my way? Where does this water all going that they've now taken that was absorbed into the ground, ran into Bear Creek? I cannot buy overland flood insurance where I live. So if this pond fills and we get that, I was told when I did talk to the engineer, at first he said it was 1 in a 30 or 40 year plan, and then he said it was a 1 in the 100 year event that they were kind of taking into consideration with this engineering. And the issue that I have is we seem to be having a lot of 1 in 100 year incidences lately. And you can say it's global warming, you can say a weather pattern, that's not the issue. The issue is we seem to be getting a lot of people talking about that 1 in 100 year event, whether it's forest fires or flooding. So we either are not designing these things properly, and they need to be a serious look at this. I hear the city council talk about it a lot, about how innovative Grand Prairie is and all the rest of this sort of stuff. It's not very innovative to keep repeating the same mistake, if that's indeed a mistake. So I'm concerned that by adding more water into what might be part of my storm sewer system could cause me some grief down the road where I won't have insurance to pay for damages to my house. So if this is the case, is this where the city's prepared to jump in? The other thing is I think the way the design is done, I believe there's some potential safety issues there. That road now is well below the grade on either side of the road, where we're going to have melting snow off and on during the wintertime, and what we do is we'll get ice creeping in onto the side of that road because it's got nowhere else to go. And that could cause a safety issue with regards to accidents and things like that. So I guess I have some real serious concerns about the design of that road, and I'd really like to kind of know what happened, because that couldn't have been the original design. That's just crazy.
Okay, so you had a number of different concerns. You're exactly
I do have.
So I'm not exactly sure where to start on that, but I just want to clarify. You said that there was a pond behind your house that I can't.
Well, we have one of those drainage ponds where when it rains, the water comes and runs into this pond, and this starts to fill.
Oh, a dry pond?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And your concern, and with
If
respect
you're
to your
adding more
insurance,
water.
the concern that you had with respect to your insurance was that it went up because you're in a provincially determined flood zone.
Yeah, where I never was before. So I guess I'm kind of curious kind of what happened there.
So I think High River happened, and after High River and Calgary happened, the province did a new survey all across the province of all urban municipalities, certainly, to ensure that they were looking more at the top of bank, and I think they put some fairly significant sort of floodplain markers around. So just to be clear, though, that was not a City of Grand Prairie change, that was a provincial government change.
So that was a change that happened that you guys are aware of.
I believe that the provincial government went through after the High River and Calgary floods and reassessed their determination of flood zones all across the province. Yes. And
did we try to fight that? I mean, because we're not really. I mean, Bear Creek is 1,000 feet away from my house. It's a long ways. That is a provincial decision, and no, it was not something that we were involved in. But your other question, because I had to ask the same question in terms of the design of the road and sort of the visual look of it, and the answer that I received from engineering was, sounds very similar to what you received from engineering, that it was in fact, it is a design, intended design. Those are catch basins, so the low points that you see are catch basins, and the water is directed down to them. And in terms of the storm sewer, though, I don't know where the discharge from the storm sewer outlet from that goes, whether it would be to your storm pond, your dry pond, or whether it would be straight to Bear Creek. And Director Galante, is that anything you'd have information on? No, not at this point. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure if there's any additional things that we can answer at this stage. Council, do you have any questions of clarification for Andy? Okay. So I don't see any additional questions from council in terms of clarification of what you're looking for. The way that our agenda is laid out, strangely, is all of our delegation businesses at the end of the meeting. So any motions arising from the presentations that we heard tonight will actually happen at the end under number 11 on our agenda. You're more than welcome to stay. Or if you'd like to leave your contact information with administration, we can get back to you with what council decided to do with your presentation tonight. The most likely outcome would be that we would refer it to one of our standing committees, community safety, where we'd have our engineers present some of the details to us, just so that you know what the most likely outcome would be tonight. But without council having that information or the engineers in the room tonight, difficult to answer some of those questions, other than the road is supposed to look like that. is the main thing. It's supposed to look like it now, but I just can't believe that that was an original design.
That is the original design. That
doesn't sound quite right.
That is the design, and I've been looking ever since at roads across the city to see where we have similar examples. And there are some that are on just about as flat a surface, but not quite as extreme. I've had to do the looking myself after I saw it and was told that was design. But we can, if you leave your contact information, we can get back to you with what direction council took with your request.
Okay.
Thank you. Yep. Okay, I don't see anybody else in our gallery tonight, so I don't imagine that there'd be anybody, unless they're hiding behind the door, that wanted to pop out and say, I want to be a delegation. So I'll close the delegation portion of our agenda. We'll move on. We'll go through public hearings because, of course, that's where we removed item 6.1. We'd go through unfinished business, of which we had none. And interestingly, we end up at item 8.1, which is the same as 6.1 was. And so we're going to start with the same thing we would have started with if we hadn't amended the agenda. I'll look to administration for a brief introduction on Land Use Bylaw Amendment C-1260-64. And I believe we're here tonight to set a first reading.
Thank you, Mayor Given. A land use bylaw amendment application was submitted to the City of Grand Prairie. The proposed amendment would rezone 0.67 hectares of Lot 1, Block 1, Plan 1224325 from intensive recreation to country residential direct control. The amendment would facilitate the subdivision of an existing country residential residence. This property is located west of the current termination of Highway 43, and it is adjacent to the future Highway 43X bypass, south of Township Road 722 and west of Range Road 64. And there's an aerial as well. Advertising of this public hearing was not done according to the Act, and will subsequently be done according to the Act and the Land Use Bylaw. And administration recommends that first reading be given to Bylaw C-1260-64, being an amendment to the Land Use Bylaw, and that Monday, November 28th, 2016, be established as the date, time, and location for the public hearing in order to do the advertising.
Okay, thanks very much, Ms. Downing. Can I have a motion for first reading? Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move council give first reading to bylaw C-1260-64, rezone from IR intensive recreation to DC 15 country residential direct control district, being an amendment to the land use bylaw.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. I'll call for the vote on first reading. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Radburn, you want to do date, time?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move council establish Monday, November 28th, 2016 at 6:30 p.m. at City Council Chambers as the date, time, and location for the public hearing of bylaw C-1260-64.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Any discussion or debate as to date, time, and location as proposed? Just to clarify one last time, that will give enough time to ensure that we meet the constraints of the Municipal Government Act. Thank you. Seeing nothing further, I'll call for the vote on date, time, and location. Thank you. That motion carries. And that would bring us to item 8.2, public member appointments to council boards, commissions, and committees. Can I have a motion on those appointments? Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I guess I'll go through the list here. It's a big one.
So we'll do them committee by committee, right? So we'll do one at a time, and we'll have to vote on each committee.
Very good. Now, just for clarity's sake, would I, in the area of the 2 vacancies or 3 vacancies, are we voting on each individual member, or can I list off 2 members as the motion?
2 members. So each one committee is one motion.
Okay, perfect. All right, then I would move that council appoints Tyla Savard to the Assessment Review Board for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2019. And further, that council reappoints Mr. John Crokin to the Assessment Review Board for a 2nd term of 3 years ending December 31st, 2019.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much. I would move that council appoint Ms. Margaret Johansson to the Arts Development Committee for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2019.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. Motion carries. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move that council appoint Matthew Norburn to the Combative Sports Commission for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2019. And further, that council reappoint Mr. Mark Fournier to the Combative Sports Commission for a 2nd term of 3 years ending December 31st, 2019. And furthermore, council reappoint Mr. Darren Metzelar to the Combative Sports Commission for a 4th term of 1 year ending December 31st, 2017.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. Motion carries. Councillor Thiessen.
All right. I would move that council appoint Eileen Cormack to the Community Enhancement Advisory Committee for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2019. And further, that council appoint Miss Ejibola Adeto Kanbo Taiwo to the Community Enhancement Advisory Committee for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2019. And furthermore, that council reappoints Mr. Doug Friesen to the Community Enhancement Advisory Committee for a 2nd term of 3 years ending December 31st, 2019.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. While we're getting that vote in, Councillor Thiessen, maybe to save you a little bit of breath and so you don't completely dry out, that motion carries. If you just want to say that council appoint, you probably don't need to repeat what committee it's for, so you can just say the member name and for a term. So appoint the following members to the Airport Commission, for example.
Sounds good. I was just strictly sticking to the script. But I will move on with that in mind, save my breath and my lips. I would move that council appoint Scott Pravitz and that council reappoint Miss Linda Murphy to the Grand Prairie Airport Commission for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2019.
Great. Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. Motion carries. Councillor Thiessen, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I would move that council appoint Mr. Greg Sherbeck and Miss Cheryl Weaver to the Grand Prairie Public Library Board for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2019. And furthermore, that council reappoint Miss Susan Bansgrove for a second term of 3 years ending December 31st, 2019.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. Motion carries. Councillor Thiessen.
All right, I would move that council appoint Des Dinez to the Pursuit of Excellence Committee, and also that council reappoint Miss Pam Chislett to the same committee for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2019.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate on those appointments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries.
All right, I would move that council appoint Mr. Mark Street to the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, as on further also appoint Mr. Renee Linson to fulfill the remainder of a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2019. And finally, to reappoint Mr. Richard Kaiselbach to the same board, to the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, for a 1-year term ending December 31st, 2017.
Thanks very much. Unfortunately, I think we just need to clarify that one. I think we've got Mr. Linson for a 3-year term, Mr. Street for a 3-year term, and Mr. Kieselbach for the remainder of a 1-year term. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Thiessen.
I would move that council appoints Mr. Darren Metzelaar to the Revolution Place Advisory Board for a 2-year term ending December 31st, 2018.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate on that appointment? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That motion carries.
And finally, I would move that council reappoint Mr. Marcus Oser to the Downtown Business Association Board of Directors for a 2-year term ending December 31st, 2018.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate on the appointment to the Downtown Association Board of Directors? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. I think that handles all of our appointments. Certainly want to thank all the members who let their name stand. There's certainly a lot of people that put their name forward to serve on community committees. We certainly appreciate all those members of our community who are willing to volunteer and do that. That'll take us into our regular committee business, and we'll start with 9.1 Council Committee of the Whole meeting from October 27th. Councillor Radburn.
Given, I would move council receive the minutes of the Council Committee of the Whole meeting held Thursday, October 27, 2016 as presented. These minutes are of a meeting we had about regarding MDP policy regarding 25% multifamily. And the next step would be that the appropriate amendments will be made to the MDP and they will come to council then.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm looking for one more vote there, Council. Thank you. That motion carries. And 9.2, the Community Growth Committee meeting. And Councillor Clayton, that was yours, I think, wasn't it?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move that council accept or approve the minutes from the Community Growth meeting held November 1st, 2016 as presented.
Thanks very much, Councillor Clayton. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Seeing nothing, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Clayton, anything you wanted to highlight from that set of minutes?
Just one thing. There was a application for a use of a flea market that was approved, and they'll be opening soon as another retail option for people. And the rest was pretty traditional business. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Councillor Clayton. We'll move on to item 9.3, the Community Living Committee. And Councillor Tarrant, I think that was your set of minutes.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move that Council approve the committee minutes held on November 1st, Community Living Committee meeting minutes held on November 1st, 2016.
Thanks very much, Councillor Tarrant. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. I'm looking for one more. There we go. Thank you. Motion carries. Councillor Tarrant.
Yeah, a couple motions coming out of the committee. So I would move that Council direct the Mayor to write a letter to the regional municipalities inviting them to consider how they wish to participate in the development of the CKC Westfield Grandstand. In speaking to this, Council was presented with some numbers regarding the final completion of the grandstand and what it would cost, and there was discussion of obviously how Council would pay for this and the different funding arrangements there. Coming out of that, it has been referred to the budget, but also committee was interested in seeing how the neighboring municipalities would respond to having a part in the CKC development, and seeing that it's a regional facility, and seeing what they would be willing to, how they would be willing to participate in that development.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Tarrant. Any discussion or debate on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Tarrant.
I'll move that Council direct the Mayor to write a letter to the South Peace Regional Archives, encouraging them to continue long-term operations out of the Grand Prairie Museum. And speaking to this, Council may remember there was some time ago the archives were looking at possibly relocating and having a building of their own. In developing this long-term plan, it's been recommended by both museum staff and by the Culture and Heritage Department that the archives is a good fit within the museum building, and that we should encourage the archives to remain there. And they've been very open to it thus far, and I think this is more formality to get it sort of in writing that their long-term intention is to stay here, and then as we go about developing the building plans, that would inform the council's decision on expansion of the building there.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Tarrant. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. That motion carries. Councillor Tarrant, anything else you want to highlight from that set of minutes?
Just a couple things. It was a very, very busy meeting, but in speaking to the museum, there was a number of options presented in terms of the functional assessment, and so there'll be a bunch of different things coming back to council in that regard for council to make decisions on the direction to go there. Also, there was maybe if council's interest, there was been a lot of talk around the council table about some of the vandalism in the South Bear Creek, and we had the Parks Department present on that to talk about some of the options and their preferred option for dealing with some of the vehicle traffic that was tearing up the grounds in South Bear Creek. Councils asked them to take a look at several options in terms of respecting aesthetics of the park, as well as being functional and making sure that vehicle access is limited there. So looking forward to see what administration comes forward with that.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Tarrant. But I don't think you're off the hook yet. I think item 9.4 is yours as well. You stepped in as acting chair for the Arts Development Committee that day.
I'll move that Council receive the minutes for the Arts Development Committee held on Thursday, November 3rd.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Tarrant. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Seeing nobody ringing in, I think there was maybe one amendment that had gotten to administration previously. I think I made a few motions but wasn't recognized as being at the meeting. So that'll get amended, and I'll call for the vote. Council, please vote on those Arts Development Committee meeting minutes. Thank you. That motion carries. Anything to highlight from that set of minutes, Councillor Tarrant?
I'll just, within the minutes there, it's presented where some of the funds were directed, but also make a note that there was a few thousand left over at the end of the allocations, which, according to the policy, goes back to our public art reserve fund. So that'll be strengthened by a few $1,000s to help out with purchase of future art projects for the city.
Thanks very much, Councillor Tarrant. And we'll move on to item 9.5, Corporate Services Committee meeting, and Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move council receive the minutes of the Corporate Services Committee meeting held Tuesday, November 8th, 2016 as presented.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. That motion carries. Councillor Radburn, anything to highlight?
Thank you, Mayor Given. We did receive the unaudited financial statements to September 30th. Director Anderson thought it was useful information for us to have as we move into budget deliberations this Friday. At this point, we're anticipating a projected surplus of $2,222,000 at year end. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. And then I think that handles all of our committee business. We have no items of correspondence. And so that takes us into our delegation business. We had 3 delegations. The first was Evergreen Park. We had a presentation from the Evergreen Park Society. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I would move that council refer Evergreen Park's grant request to budget deliberations.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Sorry, I'll just cancel that vote. So Councillor Clayton has decided to declare a conflict of interest on this vote, and we'll leave the council chambers. Okay, so we'll recall for the vote on the refer to budget. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call. Councillor Logan.
Sorry, just a quick question on that. Should we be looking at the intention that was mentioned before of this going straight to budget, or should we be looking at it going first to the appropriate standing committee?
Well, it's certainly open to debate. That's why I have the opportunity. I think their request was, I think their request was specific, and I'm sure their timing in coming to tonight's council meeting being the last one before budget was not unintentional either. But certainly that's open to discussion and debate.
I'm not going to. Sorry, thank you, Mayor Given. I'm not going to discuss or debate it, simply being we just have no time left before budget. So it's either we deal with it next year or we deal with it on the fly, or we just talk about it at budget and have a nice, robust discussion on this.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor Logan. I don't see anybody else in the queue for discussion and debate, so I'll call for the vote. Okay, thank you. That motion carries. Call Councillor Clayton back in. Thanks, Councillor Clayton. Our next delegation was with respect to information around the automated enforcement. Ms. Smith-Bird, can I have a motion with respect to that? Councillor Radburn.
Mayor Given, I would move to receive the delegation's presentation for information. I think that would suffice given what we heard in terms of what's happening with respect to information that she was asking about is forthcoming.
Sure. Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. A question for administration. Director Galante, you mentioned that Enforcement Services was preparing some additional information. Will that be tabled at one of our standing committees in the future? Or maybe I can ask that a different way. Could it be tabled at one of our standing committees in the future when it goes live?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If Council wishes to receive information about the technical brochure, calibration, and the protocol we follow, for sure we can provide an email or a report as you prefer.
I think it would. Be useful for Council to receive that in a more formal manner. So a report at a future meeting. It sounded like that was already in the works. Right. So I don't think we need a referral to do that. Just to ensure that it comes to a public agenda. Sure. That'd be great. Okay. thanks very much. So Councillor Radburn's motion was to receive Ms. Smith-Bird's presentation for information. Any discussion or debate? Councillor Tarrant.
Just a question regarding some of that information that's being provided. In my discussions with the enforcement manager, he's been very useful in giving some of the information regarding the contract with our photo radar contractor, and in terms of the stipulations and the regulations they've put on that contractor. Will that be part of the information that's being made public as well?
Mr. Mayor, we can attach a copy of the current contract with Global. All the different clauses are part of the contract, and term of the contract, price, etc. So we can attach a copy if you prefer.
Thank you. You know, and well, I'll yeah. When it comes to committee, I'll look forward to comment on there. And thank you. I really appreciate that information be brought out.
Thanks, Councillor Tarrant. So I don't see any other discussion or debate. So I'll call for the vote on receiving the presentation for information. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. And then our last, and I didn't get the gentleman's name from living on 99th Street, but Randy was his first name. And he had some questions with respect to 68th Avenue design and stormwater management, I think more specifically. So perhaps a motion to refer to the appropriate standing committee. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I'd love to make that motion. So therefore, I would move that we move the issue of the 68th Avenue functional design and stormwater management system of the area to the appropriate standing committee.
Sorry, Director Galante, do you need some clarity on the referral? We want to make sure that the administration knows what we're asking to have show up.
That is correct. I am looking for more clarification exactly about the technical information that council may be looking for. Otherwise, we can invite this person to an engineering meeting where we can present the catchment area and all the technical information about hydrology, the calculations for the road acting as a channel, and the design, the geometric design of the road.
So this is a motion to refer to committee, I think, for additional information for council to decide whether or not follow-up was warranted. Is that how we're seeing it, Council, or is there any other way to do that? Or Director Galante, is there another way that you would approach getting this gentleman the information that he wishes?
Mr. Mayor, if I may suggest that we invite Mr. Galbraith to a meeting with the engineering department where we can show all the different plans, the drawings, all the hydrology, how the design storm generates rainwater and is collected on the different system, the minor and the major system, the road acting as a channel, the information about catch basins and the capacity of the system. But we need to really show a lot of different plans and calculations to this person to really understand the overall picture.
Okay, so maybe it's a refer the matter to administration to provide the information to the resident then?
I'd be willing to change my motion to that, yes.
Okay. Okay, any discussion or debate, council, on that motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries, and I think that handles all of our delegations. Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Mayor Given. The last delegation brought up another item that I'd be interested in finding out a little more information on, and that's in regards to the flood maps and the flood areas. You know, I know after the 2013 floods, there was Promise did a big mapping project, and you know, my very layman look at the mapping area didn't really show a significant identifier of floodplains in the Grand Prairie area. But I would be interested in knowing, maybe from the engineering perspective, how that mapping and any other work that went on at that time affects our city residents and affects our engineering department. And so I'd move that the issue of floodplains and its impact to city residents be sent to the appropriate standing committee.
Councillor Heron, can I offer a suggestion? Maybe it's the changes to provincially determined floodplain boundaries. Okay. Because I think it's not necessarily, we want specifically what did the province change and how does it impact residents, right? That's the essential question? Okay. Okay, any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. I think that handles all of our delegation business. Okay, good. Thanks very much, Council, for those good follow-up points on them. We have no notices of motion tonight, and so that'll take us to council member reports, and we'll start with the Art Gallery of Grand Prairie Board. Councillor Clayton.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Mayor Given. There's numerous exhibits happening at the Art Gallery right now. First of all, I wanted to mention that tomorrow is the final day for submissions for the executive director position. We've had great interest from across the country and actually international interest, so the committee will have some work ahead of them, and we look forward to narrowing that down for the entire board to sort of get through interview process. Right now, though, I just wanted to highlight 3 exhibits that are currently at the Art Gallery. The Sublime Vernacular, which is the landscape paintings, Levine Flex Hog, is there for till December 11th. And if you haven't seen it or aren't aware of what it is, it's a traditional painter who painted a landscape over and over and over and over in different color combinations, different sort of combinations, and there's hundreds of pieces on display at the Art Gallery. It's quite impressive. The other exhibit that's currently there is the Edward Bader exhibit. It's about the Galt Gardens from Lethbridge, and it's there till end of December. And the third one that's currently on display is the Marc Courtemanche. It's a crafting of still life, so it's a very different in perspective to the other exhibits that are currently at the Art Gallery. And that's it. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Councillor Clayton. Councillor Clayton, I think you also had Downtown Association BRZ.
I do, yes. I just wanted to remind people that Friday is a very busy day downtown and a very exciting day downtown. It is Vegas night, and it's a great way to kick off your Christmas shopping. It's you can win a trip to Vegas from 6 to 11 p.m. City Transit runs till 11:15 for your shopping convenience, and as well, in front of Bama Furniture, there's a Stuff-A-Bus that they do every year. So we encourage you to go down and donate a non-perishable food item. Come roll the dice and spin the wheel for discounts at all the participating merchants, and fingers crossed the weather will stay as warm as it has, because it'll be a great night, as I said, to kick off your Christmas shopping. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Councillor Clayton. Councillor Radburn, you had Sports Council.
Thank you, Mayor Givens. Quickly, I just had at 4 o'clock today, Sports Council meeting. Just some of the topics discussed were Sports Council and Karen is doing quite a bit of work with respect to helping organizations with economic impact information. We received an update on the Summer Games Organizing Committee's retreat. Karen is working with our Cultural Integration Academy to look at developing a Try It Day for that group. And we're beginning planning for our Sports Excellence Awards planning in the spring. Thank you.
Very much, Councillor Radburn. And Library Board. I think that's also you, isn't it, Councillor Radburn? Yep.
Thank you, Mayor Given. We did review and make some changes in our bylaws. We had dealt with a new room rental use policy. We approved a budget for 2017 where revenues and expenditures balance at $2,518,541. And we met and had supper with members of the County of Grand Prairie Library Board. And we're looking to do some partnership and planning and discussions with them on a go-forward basis. Thank you, Mayor Given.
Thanks, Councillor Radburn. And Councillor Thiessen, I think you had Grand Prairie Youth Council.
Yes, Grand Prairie Youth Council. We met on November 9th, this past Wednesday, here at City Hall. Had a nice discussion with the kids. Before that, it was a lot of leisure time and just ideas over the summer, but we finally got a chance to get together. And some of the discussions that we had really revolved around what the youth can do and what the city can do for the youth. So on those topics that we discussed in broadness was transit and making a more efficient system for our youth to travel around the city and increase usership. They also talked a bit more about art exhibit space, especially for youth. Outside of the high schools, they don't really have many options going around. So we tossed around a couple ideas, and I gave them a couple names of people that they could get in touch with and maybe create some space inside and outside around the city of Grand Prairie. So they seemed very buoyed by that. Another thing that was really important to them in this conversation was their access to sports and recreation events, especially for children and youth and teenagers coming from low-income families. There's not a lot of stuff that are offered there, according to the youth, and telling them about the Jump Start and the Kickstart program, as well as Sports Council and other offerings. We are looking into potentially getting more access to kids from lower income families to sports and recreation, more along the lines of the intramural aspect, less competitive, more for social fun and games. And also, finally, we talked about LGBTQ rights and how the youth nowadays are identifying themselves moving forward in growing minority within our community. Finally, we met again on November 12th, this past Saturday, at the Grand Prairie Regional College to finish shooting and doing an interview for their documentary that they're doing on Youth Council. So I think they started this in the summer, and they're just finishing that up with CIA Productions, and happy to be a part and answer their questions as well as to what city can do for our youth.
Great. Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor Thiessen, I think you also had Water North Coalition.
I sure did, and actually this is more or less, it's a little bit outdated, only because I didn't have my notes and there are some things I wanted to be specific about when I presented. So to that regard, we met on October 27th before our previous council meeting. Some of the topics that were discussed was Chair Bob Marshall reviewed a letter that he sent out to the province regarding water sampling that he CC'd Alberta Health Services on, because we have Alberta Health Services members on there on the board, and they said that they're looking at an online system to review the results of water samples and do a follow-up email system rather than what the typical standard protocol is you write a letter, you mail it, they read it, and then they write you a letter back, and then you get your response that way. They thought this could streamline it, make it a lot more quicker. I was actually quite surprised that wasn't already the process as it was, but now it is, apparently, and moving forward. We also talked about expanding our membership. One of the members, Ken Shaw, participates in a Métis General Council meeting, and he suggested that the NADP and the chair attend one of their meetings to do a presentation to try to get more support from our Aboriginal communities. And Métis Settlements General Council seemed to be a good one. And so the appointments are for a 4-year term, and they are moving forward here. I hope to have an update moving forward. Also, we received a presentation from the Alberta Water Council reviewing their information on water literacy. And among the topics that were the least important to citizens of Alberta after being, I guess, surveyed by the province were flood management, surface water, and groundwater allocations. Which was kind of, when you sit on a watershed committee, you kind of give your head a shake. And you're like, well, these are all really important. We maybe need to get out and educate the people a little bit more. And that's exactly what they said. They said that they have major gaps in connections between policymakers, practitioners, and the public, and largely centering around drinking water literacy. Where does your water come from? Healthy aquatic ecosystems, the importance of wetlands and lake management systems, and fracturing, which is highly contentious within the realm of the public, but there's education that the province admittedly said primarily only occurs with affected landowners and not the general public. So there's a lot of lack of information going on in and around there. So to that extent, the Water North Coalition struck an education committee to meet with the Alberta Water Alliance prior to the next WNC meeting and see where we could go as far as closing these gaps with the public awareness and the importance of water in their communities.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. I think that handled all of our external reports. And so we'll move on to Councilmember Roundtable, and we'll start with Councillor Rice. If you want to turn your microphone on, Councillor Rice.
I attended the ribbon cutting ceremony at the new Aztec Engineering building, an absolutely awesome facility, and I think a really proud reflection of Grand Prairie. I think it was about 3 years ago. They were in an office space with 7 employees. They now have 35. So they have grown very impressively. I was also honored to be at the Museum Society for the presentation of the 2015 Isabel Campbell Heritage Preservation Award. That, of course, went to Dwight Logan. And I delivered the proclamation to the Estate and Financial Institute declaring November 14th to 18th, 2016 Estate Planning Week. That's all I have.
Great. Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I was at many events actually these last couple of weeks, but I'm going to highlight a couple here. The first thing I'd like to highlight actually is well, let's go all the way back to November 7th, where many members of council, I think almost every member of council was in attendance for the Chamber and Deloitte presentation on the gap analysis of the economic impact and study on the new hospital. It was a good study detailing the opportunities and, of course, the gaps, because that's what the study is all about. But gaps really translated to the crowd in attendance, mostly to the opportunities that present themselves to Grand Prairie with the production of the new hospital. Of course, we do understand that getting the appropriate healthcare professionals to fill the hospital is a challenge at the moment. Nothing is ever impossible, and that is what that meeting really spoke to me about. Also, on this past Saturday, on the 12th, I was at the Paradise Inn for the Diwali Festival of Lights. It was the second Diwali in 2 weeks. I was so sad. I thought I missed the first Diwali, and I thought that was the only one. But they had a second Diwali hosted by the East Indian Cultural Association, and it was an incredible evening with lots of performances by many of our local East Indian, Punjabi, and Hindu people celebrating all sorts of, not just their own culture, but even North American culture, right down to the music and arts that they're presenting. The QE2 Foundation, since I just mentioned them before, they were also in the house to receive a check on behalf of the East Indian Cultural Association in the amount of $200,000 to help assist with their goals in the new regional Grand Prairie Hospital. Finally, I would like to just remind everybody that it is November, which most people call it Movember, and we grow mustaches, or people shave their beards and just have the mustache. But it is also, besides the Cancer Awareness Month, there's also Family Violence Prevention Month. And I would like to make everybody particularly aware of that, because the North has some pretty staggering stats, and I'm not going to list them off, but I'd love to talk to you about it later on. If you would approach me on it. But to that extent, I was asked recently to be the MC for the Caribou Center's Building Capacity Child Abuse Conference. This is going on today and tomorrow at the Stonebridge Hotel. Now, this is a service really provided by the Caribou Center, which is located here right in Grand Prairie, right above Pace, to give training above and beyond what people have the capacity to receive here in the North Alberta area for social work and counseling services in the North in regards to child abuse. Today we had a keynote speech from Mr. Sheldon Kennedy, speaking on behalf of the Sheldon Kennedy Foundation, as well as a couple other excellent speakers and presenters, and talking with people around the room. They were saying of 170 participants that this is an invaluable conference that they came to, and they're looking forward to tomorrow. So I'd just like to spread the word and to tell everyone that because it is Family Violence Prevention Month, that please hug your family, love your family. There's no need for that kind of violence, and where that is happening, we have the service organizations and the people that are receiving the proper training to help people overcome the darkness that they may exist in their lives. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor Logan.
I'd like to mention the tour of the former Young Offenders Center and how it's being rehabilitated to new use, and I won't bother saying anything about that because that will be up to the organization that's actually doing the work. But tremendous improvement already to the building. Also want to mention that I proudly attended on Remembrance Day. And the final thing was the Grand Prairie Museum. We have a new curator there, Charles Taw, that's very active in pushing new events and just new ideas for the museum, and rejuvenating the old Isabel Campbell Award was one of those. But one thing that was really exciting about that day was Duff Carrar, noted historian, actually noted international historian, gave a presentation on World War I and various aspects of it, and it was just fascinating. So it's nice to see that we're getting those resources newly to Grand Prairie and rejuvenated for Grand Prairie. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Logan. Councillor Clayton.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Most of the events have been mentioned that I attended. However, I wanted to highlight the Remembrance Day ceremony at Revolution Place. It was probably the best attended Remembrance Day ceremony that I've seen in a long time. The place was packed, and even up in the nosebleeds, there was people there of all ages, and they did an excellent job. And I really enjoyed presenting with Councillor Thiessen, and I thank all the people that came out because it was a great ceremony. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Clayton. Councillor Tarrant.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Now, make note of was able to attend the PARDS 19th annual Dine and Dance on the 5th. Great event, great community support there, and the organization is close to finishing their goal and realizing their goal of their new facility, and hope to be out there within the next year. I just wanted to make a note. I was able to attend a funeral for a strong community builder we've had in the community, and that's Rob Weeb. And I just want to highlight and give a tribute to him. It was incredible to see the amount of people that came forward to speak, not only of his, incredible work with photography and corrections, but also his place in building the arts in Grand Prairie. And he had, I think, a tremendous impact on a lot of young artists in supporting events like the Full Moon Cafe and a number of other events there. And one of the things that really struck me when people were presenting and talking about his life was the number of people that he influenced that were new to Grand Prairie, and he was really there to latch onto them and give them a purpose and to give them life in Grand Prairie, and just hearing how many lives he affected that way. And so to Rob Weeb, what an incredible community builder.
Thanks very much, Councillor Tarrant. Councillor Rodburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Just two quick things. One, I attended the Mother Teresa Playground grand opening. It's kind of their second playground on site. That was a great partnership, and many people and companies are helped with that opening. And also, I attended the Grand Prairie Composite High School Remembrance Day ceremony, and just wanted to kudos to the staff and students at the comp. It was ceremony was well done, and the students were amazing, really amazing in terms of the respect that they showed, fitting of the occasion. Thank you, Mayor Given.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Just to wrap up, I'll say that I experienced similar appreciation. I want to extend a similar appreciation for the students at Charles Spencer High School. While other council members were at the comp, I went down to Charles Spencer, and they did a fantastic job. And I also want to commend our Air Cadets and Army Cadets who were at Charles Spencer. I saw pictures of them at St. Joe's, and I heard about them at other elementary schools. I don't know whether they were at the comp or not, but I just, our Army and Air Cadets are great volunteers in our community, and carrying on that tradition, not just in the formal ceremonies, both at Revolution Place and at the Cenotaph, but also in our schools all across the community. So I just want to recognize their contribution as well. Really briefly, a couple of events that I attended that weren't mentioned by the members of council. I had an opportunity to meet with Grand Prairie Regional College Students Association Council to attend one of their meetings and encourage them to continue to be involved in our community and take interest in civic life and the affairs that are happening at City Council, and to put a student's eye lens on those issues and bring ideas and views to us as necessary. I also attended a mayor's conference here in the city of Grand Prairie at the grade 4B class at Ivy Macklin School. In attendance were mayors from all across Alberta speaking about their communities. They were the grade 4 students who each took on the role of mayor of a different community across the province, and I got to be the host mayor of this conference since it was located in Grand Prairie. But just want to recognize that it's an innovative approach to getting children to think about local government and to do, I imagine, some sort of cross-class learning as they research their communities that they were speaking on. I just wanted to, I know it's been mentioned before, but I wanted to congratulate Councillor Logan on his Isabel Campbell Award. It was my honor and pleasure to be there at the museum on Saturday the 5th to present it to him. I'm glad that I was joined by other members of council, but Councillor Logan certainly well deserved with that award. And I think with that, we'll call our meeting concluded. Thank you.